The candle at Samwell Tarly's bedside guttered in its brass dish, a thin finger of smoke curling toward the dark beams overhead as dawn crept pale and guilty through the shutters. The air in Old Town was salt-sharp, stirred by the distant roar of the honey wine against the pilings of the quays, and yet sweat prickled beneath Sam's maester's robe. He lay in the narrow cot, the citadel allotted to acolytes too long in study and too short of coin, but sleep had fled him hours ago. In the silence after the candle died, he heard only the scratch of parchment on parchment. His own hand, trembling as it copied another line of ink from a 14th-century manuscript of undull customs. He read the words even as the quill traced them. A son who covets neither sword nor seat is no true pillar of the family, yet a son who forsakes hearth and kin for honor may claim a place beyond the bounds of lineage. The irony bit deeper than the chill of the stone floor on his bare feet. Sam wiped the nib against the blotter, laid the quill aside, and pressed thumb and forefinger to the bridge of his nose. Horn Hill. He could almost smell it, the sun-warmed thyme on the terraces, the musk of the hunting kennels, roast boar turning on the spit in the great hall while autumn leaves blew against the shutters. All the comforts of his boyhood home had been barbed with his father's disdain. Yet the memories rose sweeter than honey now that distant war horns howled across the realm. News from the Reach **** had reached even the innermost stacks of the citadel these past weeks. Randall Tarly, Lord of Horn Hill, camped now beneath the banners of Lord Mace Tyrell at Bitterbridge, seeking to turn back the lions of Casterly Rock. The small folk whispered of fields trampled under hooves, of chartered towns set aflame. By night, in the scriptorium, Sam overheard novitiates wagering on whether Highgarden would fall before snow kissed the Dornish marches. No one spared a thought for Horn Hill save Samwell Tarly, and for Gilly. She slept in the infirmary's upper loft, the babe nuzzled to her breast. Maester Melly had declared the child sound of limb, but the healer kept them well away from the brothers who muttered about wildling blood. Gilly rarely complained, yet each time Sam carried her what bread and broth he could muster from the kitchens. He saw her blue eyes flick toward the seabirds wheeling beyond the arrow slits, and knew she felt caged. "We cannot remain here," Sam whispered to the empty room. His words clapped against the walls. Maesters speak of winter as scholars speak of death, in learned tones and distant measures, yet it comes all the same. He rose, joints protesting after long hours bent over the desk, and moved to the footlocker that served him for wardrobe. Beneath rolled stockings and spare parchment he found what he sought. A folded scrap of vellum, its broken wax seal stamped with a huntsman's horn. The letters were his mother's hand. "Sam, my sweet boy," she had written, ** your father may not say it, but he worries for us. The roads are unsafe. If ever you wish to come home, send word. Horn Hill endures. ***. She had penned those lines before the rumor of dragons, before the tides of power shifted east across the narrow sea. There had been no talk of Daenerys Targaryen then, no unsullied legions, no gray-white wings blotting out slave-masters' sons. A jealous flicker of resolve sparked where fear had ruled. If I cannot wear the chain of a maester in safety, perhaps I can wield my birthright for good. Yet birthright *** had been stripped from him the day Lord Randall drove him from Horn Hill, sword point at his spine, bitter words ringing in the torchlight. Still, the laws of inheritance were as old as the hills themselves. The firstborn son preceded all others, unless disinherited by royal decree. And the crown was broken now, many crowns if tales proved true. Sam's gaze drifted to his desk again, to a newer letter half-rolled beneath the candle stub. This one bore an unfamiliar seal, a three-headed dragon wrought in red. So pure was the wax that torchlight seemed to smolder within. The words were bold, unornamented. "Lord Tarly ***, I write upon the recommendation of Prince Doran Martell of Sunspear, who speaks of your knowledge of the ancient world and of dragons. I require men of learning and conscience. Should the wind carry you to Meereen, you will find a place at my council. The world needs gentle hearts clad in firm resolve. ***. Daenerys of House Targaryen ***. Sam had read the line 100 times. Gentle hearts clad in firm resolve. He had never thought such a heart worthy of anything but scorn, until a dragon queen penned the words herself. Mid-morning **** found him crossing the courtyard toward the infirmary, a bundle of stale bread wrapped in cloth beneath his arm. He nearly collided with All-Iras the Sphinx, whose green eyes glittered behind golden skin. "You walk as though the others nip at your heels," All-Iras said. "I have matters to attend." "So do we all." The Summer Islander fell into step beside him. A raven arrived at dawn. From Horn Hill. Sam's breath caught. From my father? From your mother." All-Iras produced a ribbon of parchment from his sleeve. "Lady Melissa Tarly begs safe conduct for her children, should Horn Hill fall." The words blurred before Sam's eyes. "Fall to whom?" he croaked. Alaris's voice softened. "To Lord Randall himself, perhaps. Men say he rides to King's Landing, accepting Queen Cersei's summons, and leaving Horn Hill near undefended." Near undefended. Sam felt the phrase settle in his bones like marrow. They parted at the infirmary door. He climbed the narrow stair to the loft, where Gilly rocked the babe, humming a northern lullaby. She looked up with a smile that faltered when she met his eyes. "What's happened?" Sam knelt beside her, pressing the bread into her hands. "Nothing yet," he said. "But everything will unless we act." He told her of the raven, of his mother's plea, of Daenerys' letter, of the empty halls of Horn Hill. As he spoke, courage kindled in her gaze. "You mean to claim it," she said. "It was not a question. I mean to try, for our son, for you, for the realm. If we hold Horn Hill for the Dragon Queen, if we send her the grain stores and the smithwork, and offer her the loyalty of the marches, she may see the Reach differently. And the Citadel may see us differently, too." Gilly brushed hair from her brow. "I have never seen a castle's hearth nor silver plate, Sam. But I would stand beside you, whether in a hovel or a hall." His throat tightened. He kissed her knuckles. "Then we go." Their departure *** was swift, almost secret. Sam surrendered his half-finished copy to Archmaester Ibroz with apologies about a dying mother. Ibroz grunted, too busy cataloging a crate of tongues pickled in vinegar to question. All-Iras alone understood, clasping Sam's forearm at the sally port. "The Sphinx speaks riddles," he murmured. "Yet this riddle I answer plainly. The world may need a gentle heart on a dragon's council more than another scholar in a dusty tower. Go, Samwell Tarly. Write your own book." They purchased passage on a river cog bound for Bitterbridge, for Sam dared not linger on the roads where Lannister outriders prowled. The captain grumbled at Gilly's wildling furs and the squalling babe, but Silver stilled his tongue. As the honey wine widened to marsh and finally to rolling green banks, Sam felt the horizon stretch within him. He spent hours on deck, charting distances on crinkled maps. From Bitterbridge they would ride south by west, skirting the main army, until the stony hills that gave Horn Hill its name reared against the sky. The journey might take a fortnight, less if gods were kind. At dusk, as Gilly nursed beneath the canvas awning, Sam studied the letter from Daenerys once more. A place on her council, she had written. Did she know he was no knight, no lord, only a frightened boy grown soft? Yet he had slain a White Walker, had traveled beyond the end of the world, had lived among the free folk and learned their songs. Could she value such tales? The babe stirred ***, and Sam touched 2 fingers to the tiny fist curled against Gilly's breast. "He is a Tarly," Sam whispered. "And perhaps one day he will be heir to more than fear." Bitterbridge *** smelled of horse sweat, sour ale, and tents crowded shoulder to shoulder across the river flats. Far to the east, the banners of House Tyrell yet flapped alongside those of House Tarly. Brown huntsman's horn on green field, yet Randall Tarly himself was already gone, galloping west with 2,000 spears to heed Cersei's call. Sam's stomach coiled at the thought. His father supporting a queen who sat her throne on wildfire and lies. They found lodging in a stable loft above a farrier's shop, where Gilly and the child could rest in straw-sweet warmth. Sam bartered a few silver stags for a mule sturdy enough to carry linen bundles, and for a second-hand hauberk that hung loose on his shoulders. When he looked in the burnished back of a kettle, He scarcely recognized the weary set of his jaw. That night, as fires crackled across the encampments and distant minstrels tried to drown out the war council's drums, Sam wrote, "To Her Grace Daenerys Targaryen, he began. I am Samwell of House Tarly, firstborn son of Lord Randall. Though disinherited in scorn, I ride to claim Horn Hill in your name. Should I succeed, the granaries and forges of my seat will feed your cause. Should I fail, know that a son of the Reach believes your dream worth bleeding for. Asterisk." He sealed it with a candle's red wax, impressed with the measly ring his mother had slipped into his hand the day he left, tiny and plain, yet bearing the faint outline of the huntsman's horn. At dawn, he found a messenger raven roost outside the Tyrell command tent and bribed the keeper to loose the bird east across the waters. The keeper raised an eyebrow. "Across the narrow sea, is it? Hoping it finds the dragons." "Hoping the dragons find us," Sam replied, and hurried away before doubt could follow. 2 leagues beyond Bitterbridge **, the King's Road forked. The straight course bent north toward King's Landing, crowded with levy trains slogging to join Lord Randall's van. The lesser branch wandered southward, a wagoner's trail rarely patrolled. Sam chose the latter, and for 4 days they saw only swaying grasses and the occasional scarecrow bleached gray beneath the sun. Gilly's voice wove through the stillness, teaching little Sam, Samwell the younger now, to keep the names sorted, nonsense rhymes of the free folk. Sam listened between jolts of the mule's pace. His thoughts wandered ahead to Horn Hill's stone towers. He pictured himself striding into the great hall where his father had once berated him for dropping a sword. Sam the Slayer, the free folk had called him beyond the wall. Would that name carry weight among the Reach Lords? He doubted it, yet words had power. If Samwell Tarly could slay a walker forged from ice and shadow, why not claim a castle forged of stone and pride? On the 7th day they crossed into lands Sam knew by heart. Apple orchards thick with summer fruit, vineyards climbing low ridges, shepherd boys dozing beside flocks. But something was wrong. The fields lay fallow in patches, unharvested. Smoke stained the northern horizon, and the shepherd boys gripped slings, wary of travelers. At a dowry village called Hazelholt, they found the indoors barred. Sam knocked until a voice shouted through the shutter, "No strangers! Bandits stalk the roads and the Lord is away. Begone! I am Samwell Tarly," he called back, heart hammering. "Son of Lord Randall, rightful heir." Silence. Then a bolt drew back. An old woman peered out. Her wrinkled face shifted, from suspicion to wonder to sudden tears. "Young Sam," she whispered, "we heard you went to the wall." "I did. You were always kind to us." The bolt slid fully free, and she ushered them inside, offering porridge thick with apples. The common room was dim, but a handful of villagers crowded near, eager for word. Sam listened instead. They spoke of iron-born reavers prowling the Shield Islands, of Lannister scouts stealing grain, of hedge knights seeking coin at the point of a spear. With Lord Randall gone, only a handful of sworn swords manned the castle. Hope and fear *** twined together in Sam's gut. Few defenders meant easier entry, but also greater peril for his kin within. He purchased a rough-spun shirt and a hunting bow for Gilly, light enough for her wildling skill, then bade farewell. The old woman pressed a kiss to little Sam's brow. "Bring the Lord's justice home," she whispered. The shadow of Horn Hill ** emerged at dusk 2 days later, rising from wooded slopes like a ship breasting a green sea. The main keep flanked by 4 stout towers, banners snapping lazy in the sunset breeze. Randall's colors, still. Sam's throat closed at the sight. They camped that night in a charcoal burner's hut, planning. Sam sketched the castle on dirt with a stick. He knew every postern and sally port, every drainage culvert and rookery window. "The kitchen yard gate remains unwatched at moonset," he told Gilly, voice trembling at his own audacity. "We slipped out there for frog hunts when I was small. Then we slip in," Gilly said, calm as quiet snow. The wildling girl he loved had crossed haunted forests. A Reach Lord's gate held little terror for her. Before dawn they left the mule tethered in the woods, wrapped the babe snug in linen, and crept through dew-heavy grass to the curtain wall. Frogs chirruped, covering their footfalls. Sam found the low postern half open. The servants had never oiled its hinges, for fear of waking the kennel hounds. He pushed, heart in his throat, and the gate yielded with barely a sigh. They stepped into the kitchen yard. Smoke rose from the flue. Dawn bakers diced onions by lamplight, unaware of intruders. Sam led Gilly to a narrow stair that climbed the wall's interior. At the top, a turret door stood unlatched. Inside, lit by arrow slits, hung rows of hunting spears. Sam hefted one, its ashwood shaft polished smooth by Tarly hands. "I cannot simply appear in the hall unannounced," he murmured. "But if I can reach my mother," fate answered in a flutter of skirts. Lady Melissa descended the stair opposite, wrapped in a cloak of green wool. 2 guards shadowed her. Tall scarecrows in ill-fitting mail, proof of Horn Hill's depleted muster.
Sam froze.
Then, before courage fled, he stepped into the corridor. "Mother!" Her gasp rang like a prayer. The torch guttered, revealing the lines of worry etched upon her gentle face.
"Sam!"
She touched his cheek, scarcely daring believe. The guard started forward, but she raised a hand. "Leave us!" They obeyed, confusion on their faces. As their boots faded, Sam fell to his knees. "Forgive me," he whispered, tears hot. "I left you to Father's wrath. I left everyone, but I have returned. For you, for Horn Hill, for a queen across the sea who offers hope instead of hate." He spoke then of Daenerys, of the letter, of the reach in chaos. Lady Melissa listened, hands clasped over her heart. When he finished, she drew him to his feet. "Your father would call it treason," she said softly. "But your father rode to defend a throne dripping with blood. I have wept each night praying my children might live to see gentle days." She glanced toward the archway where her guards lingered. "The men who remain are loyal to the house, not the lord who abandoned it. They remember the boy who shared his supper with scullery maids. Speak to them."
Sam swallowed.
Words again. Could words turn swords? His squared shoulders grown broader than the boy who left. "Then I will speak." The mustering *** took place in the great yard as sun crested the eastern ridge. 40 men stood in half armor, some yawning into gauntlets, others clutching spears. Sam climbed the dais where his father had once reviewed fresh recruits. He wore a mail shirt too heavy for comfort and the huntsman's horn clasp at his throat. Beside him stood Lady Melissa with Gilly, the babe cooing in her arms. The men's murmurs died as Sam raised a hand. His voice carried farther than he feared it could. "I am Samwell Tarly, firstborn of Horn Hill." A robin chirped in the silence that followed. "By law and blood, the seat is mine, though my father named me unworthy. I return not in vengeance, but in service, to protect the folk of these lands from war they never chose. Lord Randall rides to King's Landing, but King's Landing burns with the same wildfire that felled the September. A truer hope rises in the east. Daenerys Targaryen, breaker of chains, mother of dragons. I have read 1,000 scrolls, and never have I seen a conqueror who freed slaves rather than forging them. She calls for bannermen who would build, not merely burn." He looked into hard eyes familiar since childhood. "I cannot swing a great sword as my father can, yet I have stood before a creature of ice and slain it when all wisdom called it impossible. I have crossed deserts of snow and seas of salt. I have chosen mercy in a world that spares little. If you will stand beside me, we shall keep Horn Hill safe, feed the hungry, and when the Dragon Queen lands, we shall meet her as friends, not foes." Silence stretched. A wind rustled banners. Then old Ser Maynard, the master-at-arms, stepped forward. His hair was white as frost. His sword arm trembled from an old wound, yet his voice cut clear. "I taught you at the butts, lad. You loathed the bow, but you listened when I spoke of honor. If you will pledge to guard these folk first, I'll follow." One by one, spears struck the flagstones. Knees bent, 40 men swore oaths to Samwell Tarly, no longer Soft Sam, but Lord of Horn Hill in every eye that mattered. Ravens flew *** that afternoon bearing Sam's seal and message. Horn Hill named for Queen Daenerys, stores open for those fleeing war, safe passage for any sworn to justice. He dispatched riders to nearby holdfasts, inviting their folk behind his walls. In the granary, he walked aisles of barley stacked ceiling high. Lady Melessa rued the toll it would take on reserves, but Sam insisted famine killed more surely than swords. Gilly found a place among the castle's looms, teaching Southron girls the hardy stitches of the free folk. The babe grew round on creamy goat's milk. Harmony, fleeting yet precious, settled over Horn Hill like first snow. But word travels fast ** when fueled by dragons. One fortnight after the banners changed, a cry echoed from the watchtower. Riders approaching from the east. Sam hurried to the battlements. Across the valley, dust plumed behind a column of men bearing spears tipped with black steel. At their fore rode a knight in copper armor chased with silver serpents, Ser Jorah Mormont, exiled lord of Bear Island, and beside him a woman whose hair shimmered as pale gold as dawnlight. A tiny dragon circled overhead like a kite loosed into heaven.
Bret desertit Sam.
The queen had answered. The meeting ** took place in the long hall, hearth blazing despite summer's heat. Daenerys Targaryen stood beneath the arch of antlers Randyll Tarly once prized. Her gaze flicked from tapestries depicting hunts to the polished shield of House Tarly. Behind her, Missandei of Noth held a parchment ledger. Grey Worm waited at the door, Insk, rootable in eunuch stillness.
Sam knelt.
"Your Grace," he began, voice trembling. "Rise, Lord Tarly," she said, and when he did, her violet eyes held neither disdain nor hunger for fealty, but curiosity. "Your raven reached me upon the tide at Volantis. It flew far. Hope flies farther."
Sam swallowed.
"I can offer men, grain, and the loyalty of the marches. But I beg your mercy for my father. He rides with Queen Cersei, yet Horn Hill is dear to him. He is a hard man, but he stands for oaths." A shadow of pain crossed the queen's face. "My own father stood for fire and terror. Mercy does not come easy, even to the deserving. Yet I will judge each soul on its own deeds. You have shown me a different Tarly metal." She gestured to the hall. "These walls once rang with your shame. Now they ring with song. That is worth more than swords." Sam exhaled a breath he had held for years. Daenerys extended her hand. "I accept your fealty. In return, I name you Shield of the Reach, Warden of the Red Mountains, and Maester of Dragons, for I have read your treatise on Valyrian bloodlines." He stared, stunned. "My treatise? A young novice at the Citadel sent me a copy." All ears flashed a wink from the doorway. The Sphinx had arrived with the retinue, beggar's cloak exchanged for a scribe's tabard. Daenerys's smile warmed as hearthfire. "Will you serve beside me, Samwell Tarly? To bind old wounds with new wisdom?" Sam felt tears gather. Behind him, Lady Melessa clasped Gilly's hand. Little Sam gurgled. The hall seemed suddenly vast enough to house all stories, all futures. He knelt once more, not from fear, but from choice. "With heart and quill and every grain Horn Hill can spare, I serve." Night fell ** soft upon the ramparts. Sam lingered beside Daenerys beneath banners that now bore both huntsman horn and three-headed dragon entwined. Far below, unsullied pitched campfires, and Grey Worm drilled new recruits from Horn Hill's garrison. The dragon, Regal, she called him, slept curled atop the rookery, wings twitching in dreams. "When I was a girl," Daenerys said, voice low, "I dreamed of a house with a red door. I thought that was home. Yet here, in lands I have never walked, I sense another sort of home. People who choose kindness in a cruel world." Sam rested his forearms on the cool stone. "Home is where you choose to stand when fear says flee." She glanced sideways, studying him. "Tell me of the thing you slew in the north." So he told her of blue eyes blazing, of obsidian, of the darkness beyond the wall. As words spilled into the night, Fireflies rose from the grass below, and a wind sighed through sycamores. Somewhere, beyond far horizons, war ground its teeth. Yet on this rampart, a gentle heart beat steady within firm resolve, and dragons slept while men dared hope. And Samwell Tarly, once no true son, stood lord of the hill that birthed him, ally now to a queen who might yet remake the world. Sequel. Wind swept across the ramparts of Horn Hill in dim blue dawn, stirring the banners where huntsman horn and three-headed dragon twined like ivy. Samwell leaned into the gust, palms pressed to rough stone still slick with night dew. Below in the outer bailey, unsullied had already formed silent columns, the slap of their sandals against packed earth as steady as a heartbeat. Grey Worm's voice, quiet, clipped, issued a command in the tongue of Astapor. Spears dipped in a single, seamless motion, catching the early light so each head flared red gold before settling upright again. Sam felt the echo of those disciplined movements inside his chest, an odd resonance, as if every spear point marked the start of a story he had to tell but dared not rush. A fortnight had passed since Daenerys first set foot within his father's hall, yet each morning still arrived like a page turned slowly, thick with ink that had not dried. Behind him, the door creaked on leather hinges. "You are awake too early, my lord." Missandei's soft steps halted beside him. She wore a simple reach-spun mantle a shade paler than dawn, her tight-curled hair pinned with a single jade comb. Her eyes traced the valley below where orchards dipped into river mist. "You dream in daylight." "I fear in daylight," Sam admitted. "Dreaming is safer." She smiled gently. "Fear is only a candle. Hold it steady, it shows the path." Sam glanced past her shoulders to the rookery where Regal dozed, green wings folded over slate tiles. The dragonlings had grown bolder. Yesterday Regal glided from tower to vineyard, setting off a flurry of sparrows before settling to bask among ripening grapes. When workers approached nervously, Sam stepped forward, explaining, voice trembling, that the dragon sensed their calm or their terror. "Be steady," he told them, though his own knees quaked. Regal's bronze eyes regarded him, unblinking, before the beast lifted again on a thunderclap of air. "Does the queen sleep?" Sam asked. "She studies," Missandei replied. "Scrolls you provided, anatomy of dragons, properties of obsidian."
Sam flushed.
He had written margin notes in those scrolls, questions, speculations, messy loops of ink. Asterisk, how quickly does dragonbone knit if broken? Do they know fear? Asterisk, Daenerys had traced the cramped script with a fingertip, murmuring, "Dragons answer slow questions faster than swords." On the terrace beyond the solar asterisk, Daenerys bent over a table strewn with parchment. Morning light gilded her braids, catching the fine silver rings woven there. All eras the Sphinx stood opposite, gesturing at a map pinned with obsidian shards to mark allied seats. A new shard pressed against one of Horn Hill's southern neighbors, House Foot of Plumgrove. Rumor said their young lord rode even now to offer fealty. "Good," Daenerys said, eyes flicking up as Sam and Missandei approached. "Samwell, you see? Your letters flower." Sam rubbed at an ink smudge on his thumb. He had penned 16 ravens since her arrival. To Foot, Mullendor, Caswell, several Marcher lordlings on the Dornish border. He couched every plea in language of harvest and shelter rather than swords. Asterisk, let Horn Hill feed your folk while Lannister fires rage farther north. Pledge no blood yet. Pledge your barn doors. Asterisk. The replies trickled back, cautious but hopeful. Grain wagons arrived first, then drovers herding sheep into the outer pastures. With each load, Daenerys greeted the drivers herself, thanking them by name, promising safe hearth under her justice. Word of a queen who met small folk eye to eye spread faster than ravens. All eras tapped another shard east of Bitterbridge. Accepting their rights that Lord Randall marched through with 300 spears 4 days past, bound for King's Landing. If he turns back, Daenerys's mouth set in a grim line. If he turns back, we will parley. She looked to Sam. Your father rides on pride, but I would meet him first with peace.
Same stomach churned.
He had rehearsed 100 speeches for that moment. Pleas, arguments, bare-knuckled truths. Yet none settled the knot inside his ribs. Later, in the castle library ***, dust motes swam through sunshafts while Sam leafed old ledgers. Lady Melissa perched beside him, needlework in her lap, though her eyes seldom strayed from her son's face. The small folk smile again, she noted. They speak of bright Sam now, the lord who lit hearth fires, not beacons for war. He managed a rueful laugh. Father would say, I've traded iron for sugar. Your father sits a throne of iron in his mind, but thrones can grow so heavy they sink. She paused, fingers finding a dropped stitch. I loved him once for his certainty, yet certainty is only iron too, and iron rusts. Sam laid a hand atop hers. When he comes, will you stand with me? I stand with the child who laughed chasing fireflies in these halls. That child made even iron ring like bells. His throat closed, he could only nod. In the lower Bailey ***, Gilly sparred with 2 young stable hands, each armed with willow switch practice spears. Her short wildling blade flashed as she parried, then ducked beneath an awkward thrust. Sam watched, heart steadying at her laughter. She wore a simple jerkin stitched by castle tailors who marveled at her nimble fingers. The babe, big-eyed, pudgy-limbed, sat nearby gnawing a polished apple slice. Teach me that move, the older stable hand begged. Gilly corrected his footing. Keep your weight forward until you decide to slip. If you lean backward first, your enemy sees your fear before you strike. Sam thought of father, of leaning backward all his life. He wondered if fear always preceded the blow. 3 evenings later ***, horns echoed from the North Road. 2 short calls, 1 long. Lookouts atop the East Tower shouted. Riders in House Tarly colors. Sam's skin went cold. He hurried to the barbican where Unsullied barred the gate with crossed spears. Dust plumed beyond the drawbridge, revealing a column of 60 mounted men in rust-red surcoats, their breastplates stamped with hunting horns. At their head rode Ser Dickon Tarly, Sam's younger brother. The last time they spoke, Dickon laughed as their father stripped Sam of sword and birthright. Now he dismounted slowly, helmet tucked beneath one arm. His face, lean, sunburnt, sharp as the short sword on his hip, wore no laughter. Sam. He inclined his head, formal. Sam felt voices pressing behind him. Grey Worm, Ser Maynard, Lady Melissa catching her breath. Gilly hovered just outside arrowshot, Babe clutched tight. Above, the shadow of Regal wheeled once before settling again atop the rookery, stone arch creaking under talons. Dickon's eyes flicked to the dragon, then back. You've made changes. Change came of its own wing. Sam stepped beyond the lowered portcullis. Why are you here? Father bid me secure the seat until his return. A tick pulsed at Dickon's jaw. He heard rumors. A pretender enthroned by Sel's words and sorcery. Sam swallowed. No sorcery, only truth. I hold Horn Hill by right of birth and by oath to Queen Daenerys, who freed more souls than Father's wars ever spared. A murmur rippled through approaching guards. Dickon's gaze swept the walls where Unsullied stood motionless. Foreign soldiers, dragons, and wildlings gutting sheep in our meadows. Men and women, Sam corrected, voice shaking, who fight only if forced. Foreign only until we offer hearth. Dragons only until we learn to understand them. Dickon's shoulders squared. Father calls this treason, yet he sends me with 30 men. He guards King's Landing, but expects me to drag you north in chains. Am I to gut my brother like a boar? Sam felt tears sting. You could speak to the queen. Hear her vision. Vision. Dickon barked a bitter laugh. Father has vision enough. Lannister gold buys reach grain, Tyrell roses wilt, and dragons burn those who do not kneel. Before Sam could answer, hoofbeats clattered. Daenerys herself emerged riding a dappled courser, her white and scarlet cloak snapping. Grey Worm flanked her. Regal shrieked overhead, matching her arrival. Dickon's mount shied. He steadied it. Daenerys reined in a spear's length away, appraising the newcomer. "You are Randall's son," she said, voice level. "Dickon Tarley." He dipped his head, surprise flickering. Perhaps at her youth, perhaps at her lack of armor. "Your Grace, I bring no quarrel, only message. Lord Randall returns within a sennight to reclaim Horn Hill in the king's name." "Which king?" Daenerys asked. Dickon hesitated. "Queen Cersei holds the throne. A broke throne of melted swords," she replied. "Tell your father, I will meet him here. I do not burn those who seek parley." Dickon's eyes tracked the dragon above. "And if he refuses? Then he chooses his own fire." Silence. The breeze rattled penance. Dickon swallowed hard, then lifted the reins. "I will carry your words." He looked once more at Sam, something not quite remorse flickering. Then he turned, wheeling the column back up the dusty road. That night, Sam lay sleepless in the solar where Daenerys studied maps. Candlelight pooled on parchment. Shadows traced his tired eyes. "You fear for him," Daenerys said without looking up. "He is my brother. He is a spear." She tapped driftmark on the map. "But spears sometimes turn. Father forged him. How does steel unbend?" Daenerys finally met his gaze, her violet eyes softer than flame. "Steel breaks before it bends. Hearts, though hearts can melt. You melted yours and poured it into another mold."
Sam exhaled shakily.
"I'm not melted. Only tempered," she supplied. "Tempered hope is still harder than raw iron." She pushed the parchment aside. "Walk with me." They climbed the rookery stair where Regal watched moonrise. Night air smelled of distant lavender. The dragon's scales shimmered emerald and bronze. Its breaths gusted warm, stirring Daenerys's braid. She laid a hand upon its snout. It hummed deep in its chest. Sam stepped nearer, heart hammering. Regal's eye round, glimmering, fixed on him. He spread both palms, recalling notes he had scribbled in the citadel. Dragon's red posture, he bowed slowly. The beast chuffed, something like acknowledgement. "He knows you," Daenerys murmured. "Knows my fear," Sam replied. "Knows your steadiness." She guided his hand to the warm ridge above Regal's nostril. The hide felt like hammered copper beneath a layer of living leather. "A dragon is not a torch," she said. "It is a mirror." Sam's breath shook, but he did not flinch. "Then I must reflect hope, not horror. Do you?" He thought of letters sent, barns opened, the old cook at Hazelholt who cried upon seeing him. He thought of Regal's shadow over vineyards, and farmers who neither fled nor fell. "I try. Try with me again when your father arrives," she said. "Show him a son he never saw." By dawn of the 6th day, horns sounded again. This time 3 long blasts. From the west came banners. The fox of House Florent, the apple-green foot of House Foot, the silver antlers of House Hunt. Wagons rattled behind, laden with apples, smoked fish, casks of cider. Lords Tommen Foot and Armand Hunt rode at the fore, flanked by knights shuffling in mismatched mail. They dismounted in the courtyard where Daenerys waited, Sam at her right. Lord Foot, barely 17, cheeks freckled, bowed deeply. "My lady mother says your mercy travels faster than ravens," he stammered. "Mercy travels on foot," Daenerys corrected, smiling. "And your feet have carried it far." Armand Hunt knelt next. "If dragons guard my orchards, Lannister gold has little lure. We pledge harvest and hunter alike." In return, Daenerys offered protection under unsullied patrols and the right to trade freely when peace came. The lords accepted cups of Horn Hill cider. A feast blossomed spontaneously in the hall. Minstrels tuned lutes. Cooks rolled out boar spitted since before sunrise. Sam watched servants lay extra tables while Gilly danced the babe on her hip. Unfamiliar melodies lilted from summer island pipes as all eras joined the musicians, fingers nimble. During the revel Sam slipped away to the rookery where ravens rustled on perches. He penned a short note. "Father, Horn Hill stands unharmed. I stand at its gate with open hands. Come and speak before swords speak for us. Samwell asterisk. He hesitated, then added, I remember the day you showed me how to track a stag by hoof prints in dew. He sealed the note and sent it with the swiftest raven. On the 7th sunset asterisk, Randyll Tarly arrived. No trumpets preceded him, only the dull clatter of tired horses and the grim hush of men long in the saddle. 200 spears filed behind him, banners drooping. Dust caked their mail, sweat cut rivers through grime. Randyll himself wore crimson cloak faded almost brown, breastplate dented along one edge, proof of some unseen skirmish. Sam saw him from the gatehouse walkway, for a heartbeat father's visage blurred with memory. The looming figure who made boys and dogs alike cower, whose words slashed deeper than switch or sword. But the man below seemed smaller than that ghost. Weary, jacket straps frayed, beard streaked winter white. A man who had ridden too far chasing certainty. Grey Worm opened the gate but barred entry with 2 ranks of unsullied. Spears planted. Randyll halted just inside the shadow of the portcullis. His gaze swept the walls. Banners altered, archers wearing sigils not his own. A dragon's distant cry echoing from the east tower. Rage flickered, brief, banked by fatigue. Sam descended the steps. For the first time he walked toward his father without trembling knees. Steel clinked at his side. The same sword Randyll once mocked him for misswinging, now belted with quiet assurance. They stopped arm's length apart. Silence pulsed. Randyll spoke first, voice hoarse. You gave my castle to a foreign queen. I shared our hearth with those who needed it, Sam answered, and with the queen who stands for them. Her dragons will scorch this country. War already scorches it. She would tend to ashes, not fan the blaze. Randyll's jaw worked. You were always soft. Soft enough to feel what steel cannot, Sam said evenly. I invite you to dinner, father. Break bread before you break blood. Laughter brittle escaped the older man, but beneath it Sam caught a hitch, exhaustion, doubt. Randyll's gaze flicked to the unsullied, to Grey Worm's measured stillness, to the towers where archers watched yet did not notch arrows. Your mother? He asked at last, quieter. Safe inside, waiting. Randyll ground his teeth, then nodded curtly. Very well. Bread first. Sam released a breath. He gestured, and unsullied parted. Daenerys waited on the steps of the keep, cloak caught by breeze. Randyll's eyes narrowed as he recognized her. She inclined her head. Lord Tarly, your grace, he said, voice carefully flat. We will speak. The hall that night glowed with torches set high in sconces. Long tables bore platters of roasted quail, trenchers of spiced wheat, bowls of stewed apples. Daenerys sat at the high table, Sam beside her, Randyll opposite. Gilly and Lady Melissa flanked Sam. Grey Worm stood behind the queen, silent sentinel. The first course passed in taut quiet. Randyll sampled nothing. His gaze lingered on Regal through the open arch beyond, where the dragon curled by a brazier. Finally he spoke. You mean to make the Reach a staging ground for invasion? Invasion, Daenerys repeated softly. I was born a princess of these lands. I reclaim what was ripped away by fire. Yet I will not bathe the realm in new fire unless forced. She lifted a piece of bread. I break bread with you to show intent. Randyll's thick fingers tapped the table. Intent is wind. Steel is truth. Sam interjected, voice gentle. Steel rusts, father. Bread feeds. Randyll's eyes flashed. You quote your maesters now? Speak plain. What do you offer beyond honeyed words? Daenerys reached into a satchel at her side, produced a polished dagger of pale black stone. Obsidian. She placed it upon the linen. Candlelight danced along its edge. I offer weapons against a threat bigger than any crown. Beyond the wall march dead things that do not tire. Your son faced them. Ask him. Randyll looked to Sam, skepticism heavy. Sam inhaled, describing again the night at the fist, the walker he killed, the white mist that froze lung and marrow. He spoke of hard home, the screaming, the boat rides through waters choked with the drowned. No flourish, no fear, only steady recollection. Randall listened, some color draining from his cheeks. The hall stilled, even servants pausing. When Sam finished, Daenerys set a second blade upon the table, then a third, each a gift from Dragonstone's dragonglass hoards. "There are mountains of this beneath my family's ancient seat," she said. "With your forges, Lord Tarly, we can arm the realm. We can stand men of the Reach shoulder to shoulder with men of the North, of Dorne, of the Riverlands. Living, breathing men against winter's shadow." Randall stared at the blades. At last he lifted one. Light shimmered along volcanic glass. A muscle jumped in his weathered cheek. Sam saw memory flicker. Father instructing him on edge alignment, on the perfect draw cut while the boy's arms trembled. "Steel is truth," Randall repeated, but softer. "Yet perhaps truth comes in darker alloys." He set the dagger down. "And Lannister gold cannot buy what sleeps in Dragonstone." A hush fell deeper than before. Outside, Regal rumbled, as if sensing hinge moments behind stone walls. Lady Melissa reached across, touching her husband's hand. "Eat," she whispered. Tears shimmered unshed. Randall blinked, looked down, broke off a crust, and lifted it to his lips. Bonds rarely knit in a single night ***, but that first supper etched cracks in iron long-tempered. Over days that followed, Randall walked ramparts with Sam while Unsullied demonstrated drill. He studied Regal from safe distance, eyes narrowed in soldier's appraisal. He spoke little, yet each evening he returned to the hall rather than his encampment. On the fifth morning, he summoned Sam to the practice yard. A straw dummy stood propped, armored in cast-off mail. Randall tossed Sam a willow training sword. "Show me if you still trip over your own shadow."
Sam's gut twisted.
But he took stance, knees flexed as Brienne once drilled him at Castle Black. He parried his father's opening strike. Barely. Felt shock jolt up his arms, but did not drop the sword. Randall pressed, blows coming faster. Sam gave ground step by step. Breath rasped. Sweat blurred vision. Yet fear remained at bay. On the parapet above, Daenerys watched beside Grey Worm. Randall feinted left. Sam countered into a low sweep taught by the Knight of Tarth. Maple rod cracked against Strawhelm. The dummy's head bobbed. Randall halted.
"Silencer hum."
Sam gasped air. "I still prefer books," he wheezed. "But I read sword strokes now too." Randall's mouth twitched. Not quite smile, but not scorn. He lowered his weapon. "You stand."
"I stand," Sam echoed.
Randall looked up to Daenerys. "The North may need swords that read." He turned back to Sam. "I will speak to your queen tonight." In council chamber heated by braziers ***, Daenerys laid out maps of Westeros. Tides of banners shifting, storehouses dotted, ports half-ash. Randall listened, fingers steepled. When she finished, he exhaled through his nose. "You require the grain roads of the Reach unmolested. You require forges and draft animals. My house can marshal both, if we ride the harvest lines, not battle lines. I require also hearts that remember why harvest matters," she said.
Randles gaze flicto Sam.
"My son humbles me with harvest." Daenerys inclined her head. "Will you stand with him, Lord Tarly?" Silence again, but this time thinner, lighter. Randall rose, drawing his long sword, heirloom of House Tarly, Heartsbane. He laid it across the table between them. "I stand under this roof until winter is turned." Sam's knees nearly buckled. Daenerys rested a hand upon the greatsword's hilt. Her fingers brushed Randall's knuckles. "Then let this hall be Hearthbane no longer." The days that followed *** were a blur of preparation. Randall drilled both Reach levies and Unsullied in mixed formations. Shield walls with spears threaded between, archers rotated to second rank on command. Sam worked beside castle smiths, sketching dragonglass arrowheads, daggers, even thin plates to rivet onto shields facing. Sparks flew late into night. Gilly helped quartermasters label crates bound for Storm's End, for Dorne, for White Harbor. Do not open until frost. She sang northern lullabies while packing sacks of barley seed, telling any who would listen that seeds were sharper than swords when winter thawed. Lords Foot and Hunt dispatched riders bearing letters of safe crossing through their lands. From Bitterbridge, ravens came pledging House Caswell's ferries to move men upriver. Small folk trickled through gates daily, families from burned orchards, shepherds whose flocks were stolen by free companies. They found beds in long and used barracks, stew in simmering cauldrons. One evening Sam watched children chase sparks as the smith hammered a glowing dragonglass rod into spearhead shape. The children shrieked delight. The sparks reminded Sam of fireflies. Randall emerged from the forge, face streaked with soot, hefting the finished spear. He handed it to Sam. "Weight's good," he admitted. "Glass edge brittle, but obsidian point slips between plate joints if aim is true." "Aim is half the battle," Sam replied. "And the other half? Knowing why you aim." Sam looked toward the children. Randall followed his gaze. Something softened behind the steel of his eyes. A full moon rose round and gold *** when Daenerys summoned her banner lords to the courtyard. Regal crouched behind her, wings half spread. Forges quenched, hammers fell silent. Men and women of 12 houses gathered, torches casting flickering halos. Daenerys's voice carried clear. "I came to Horn Hill seeking hearth, not conquest. I found more. I found a mirror of what Westeros might become. Iron tempered by mercy, grain guarded by courage. We will march, yes, but not to burn. We will march to harvest hope from frozen fields." She drew a curved horn of bright bone, carved with Valyrian runes, gift from the old city of Karth. "Tonight we sound not war, but welcome." She lifted the horn. A low, resonant call rolled across the hills, lingering like promise. Sam felt it vibrate in his bones. Beside him, Randall stood motionless, expressions unreadable. But when the last echo faded, the old lord knelt. Armor creaked. Others followed, Foot, Hunt, Caswell's envoy, smiths with hammer-scarred hands, Gilly still clutching babe. Sam blinked tears. He knelt too, though he felt already seated in some greater council. Hearts beating beyond bloodlines. Daenerys raised her free hand. "Rise, rise and build this bridge of harvest. Winter rides, but so do we, and summer's seed lies only sleeping." Much later ***, beneath the quiet of his childhood bedchamber, now Gilly and infant child breathing soft beside him, Sam lay awake. Moonlight painted lattice shadows on the ceiling. Voices of the feast below drifted up. Laughter, clink of cups, a summer island drum. Sam traced patterns in the dark, lines connecting each day since he first lifted pen to paper in the Citadel, muscles trembling with fear. He had thought courage a sudden blaze, slay a walker, become a hero. But courage proved a slow ember, stoked by letters and lullabies, by dragons who mirrored hearts. Horn Hill had become something neither his father's stronghold nor merely Daenerys' foothold. It was a loom weaving families, fields, even enemies into cloth against cold. Tomorrow or next moon northern snows might swallow the world, or Lannister fire might roar from distant hills. But tonight Sam felt the fabric hold. He turned toward Gilly, brushed a curl from her brow. She murmured, half dream, "Warm." "Yes," he whispered. "Warm." Outside, a single nightjar called across the orchards. Regal answered with a rumble that shook shutters but felt no more threatening than thunder promising rain to parched earth. Sam's eyes finally closed, and so Horn Hill slept, no longer a border castle between father's iron and son's fear, but the first stitch in a tapestry meant to wrap a realm shivering on the brink of long night. PGSQL. The morning after the moonhorn ceremony dawned heavy with low, silver clouds that seemed to swallow the ridge behind Horn Hill. A hush lay over the orchards, as if the land itself held its breath, waiting to see whether the fragile concord stitched between father and son would hold. Samwell woke to the sound of distant hammers ringing against dragonglass blanks, a music that mingled oddly with birdsong. He slipped from bed, careful not to wake Gilly or the child, and padded barefoot to the arrow slit. Mist drifted in ribbons across the bailey, blurring shapes. Unsullied running silent drills, reach levies rolling barrels into wagons, stable hands brushing sweat-dark flanks of destriers. In the half-light, all banners looked the same muted gray, as though house colors had surrendered to a new, deeper hue, one painted by winter's approach. Sam dressed quickly, belting the narrow mail shirt that fit him better each passing day, and headed down winding stairs still cool from night. In the grand corridor beneath the library, he met his father emerging from a side door, Randall clad not in cuirass and gorget, but in plain riding leathers, his graying beard neatly trimmed. For an instant they regarded each other, and Sam felt the old reflex to avert his eyes buckle against the new habit of meeting gazes squarely. "I sent scouts before dawn," Randall said without preamble. "Bandit company on the eastern ridge, 50 men. They fly no banner but wear lion brooches, paid by Lannister purse more than pride."
Same spal skvikand.
50 isn't a raid. They could test our lines, steal stores, or take hostages. Randall's expression hardened. They know Horn Hill shelters farmers from 3 valleys. Fear rose inside Sam, but training at the forge and the yard had taught him to temper fear. "We're not ready to march a full host," he said, "but we can't ignore them either. Will parley suffice?" "Parley with Sellsword scum rarely sticks," Randall growled, "but sometimes a show of discipline breaks greed." He tapped his belt. "Ride with me. Take 20 unsullied, 10 of your new trained archers. Dragons stay. We don't start this game with the Queen's checkmate."
Sam swallowed.
Ride into potential combat. Weeks ago the notion would have frozen him. Now he nodded. "I'll prepare." An hour later, hooves clattered across the drawbridge. Sam rode beside Randall, astride Butterbar, the placid palfrey he'd known since youth, now surprisingly responsive under his steadier hand. Behind them, Grey Worm led a double column of unsullied, spears slanted over shoulders. Falx-headed arrows sheathed in dragonglass quivers gleamed on the backs of archers from House Foot. The mist rose with the sun, revealing the rolling hills like green whales surfacing. They crested the eastern ridge after 2 miles. Sam's stomach lurched at what lay below. Orchard rows hacked down, blackened stumps smoking. Sheep lay gutted, fleece matted crimson. The bandits camped in the ruined orchard's heart, clustering around cookfires. Their sentries spotted the column and scrambled to alert comrades. Randall signaled halt, then spurred ahead with Sam and Grey Worm at each flank. The Sellsword leader, rangy, scar-cheeked, stepped forward gripping a gilded crossbow. Gold strands flecked his red cloak. "Indeed Lannister pay," he spat. "Well, look here. Horn boys playing with girly spears." Randall's voice cut like whetted steel. "You trespass on Tarly lands, burn Tarly orchards, murder Tarly sheep. Lay down arms. March west with empty purses and full skins, and I'll forget this ugliness." Laughter rippled among the Sellswords. The leader cocked the crossbow. "How about we keep the orchard, fatten on your fruit, and flay whatever milksop air you carry?" His eyes flicked to Sam. "Bet that one squeals." Sam felt heat flood his face, but he recalled Maester Eamon's counsel. Anger clouds judgment. He fixed the mercenary with a calm stare. "If you leave, we'll even gift provisions," he offered. "Enough grain for the ride to Lannisport." The leader's grin showed broken teeth. "Dragon's lapdog offers bones." He fired. The bolt whined past Sam's ear, thunking into a tree trunk. In the heartbeat of silence that followed, Randall barked a single word: "Loose!" The foot archers loosed. A black storm of dragonglass shrieked over Sam's head into the bandit ranks. Glass fletching flickered in morning sun. Then screams rose as shards punched through boiled leather, slicing flesh like silk. The Sellswords reeled, but the leader roared orders, waving his crossbow. Unsullied jogged down the slope in disciplined lines. Sam's fingers clenched Butterbar's reins. He stayed back per plan. Randall thundered forward, sword raised. Sam glimpsed Heartsbane flash, cutting 2 strokes that ended 2 lives before he lost sight of his father in melee whirl. Sam dismounted, nocked an arrow. Heart pounding, he recalled Zay, the then archer showing him stance. Feet shoulder-width, breath out on release. He aimed for a mercenary rushing Grey Worm's flank. The arrow flew, struck below collarbone. Man toppled. Sam knocked again. Screams, clangs, the deep-throated, unsullied chant of *Ujack*. Moments stretched, then shattered as Regal's roar thundered overhead. Sam jerked upward. The dragon circled high, drawn by scent of blood, but Daenerys had held him back. Regal flew only to observe, wings etched against sun. The cell's words, perhaps believing death from above imminent, broke. Swords clattered. Shouts turned to panicked cries. They fled west between the charred apple trunks, scattering sacks of stolen grain. Randall did not pursue far. He wheeled Heartsbane skyward, calling the recall horn. Unsullied, reformed ranks. The ground lay strewn with broken red cloaks. Smoke drifted from kicked-over campfires. Sam jogged down, ribs aching with exertion. Randall wiped his blade and looked to Sam. Really looked, and for the first time Sam saw no contempt. "Good shot," Randall said gruffly.
Sam stared.
"You saw. I see arrow wounds." A hint of pride, rusty from disuse, tempered his voice. One less blade at Grey Worm's back. Quick thinking. He sheathed Heartsbane. "Come, we salvage what we can." They loaded half-burned apple crates onto wagons. Sam knelt beside a dying mercenary, laying a rag over a spurting wound. The man cursed, then stared in confusion as Sam pressed water to his lips. Randall watched but did not intercede. When the man bled out, eyes clouded, Randall murmured a quiet verse of the Smith, something Sam had never heard him speak. Back at Horn Hill ***, Daenerys awaited in the gate court, Regal perched on the curtain wall arch. She listened to Randall's report, then Sam's. She nodded once. Discipline drove them off, not dragons. That is what realm must see. That evening a council gathered. Daenerys, Tyrion Lannister newly arrived from Dragonstone, Randall, Sam, Grey Worm, Missandei, all eras, plus envoys from Hunt and Caswell. Candles flickered on polished oak. Maps bore fresh ink lines charting safe lanes for caravan traffic. Tyrion traced a finger along the Blackwater Rush. Cersei braces at King's Landing. If she learns Horn Hill repelled her cell's words, she may cut our grain routes. But my sister loves appearances. While she postures, we move. Randall grunted. River Road to Storm's End is longest but least watched. My scouts say Tarthus Straits run clear of Lannister galleys. Edric Storm claims Storm's End now, all eras noted. Young, but with knights who despise Lannister rule. Daenerys drummed fingers. Send bread before banners. We feed Edric's folk first, then ask their steel. She looked to Sam. Draw a letter. Sam's quill flew that night. Missives inviting Edric to feast, pledging grain shipments. More letters to Blackhaven and Nightsong, to lesser houses along the marches. He sealed each with a green wax horn beside the red dragon. A union bloom. Weeks rolled ***, a slow wheel of preparation. Sappers reinforced the walls. Smiths shaped dragonglass. Randall drilled a new mixed company. One Tarly veteran for every 2 village volunteers, anchoring lines. Sam meanwhile taught healers southern leechcraft blended with northern poultices gleaned from Craster's wives. Gilly, adept at herb lore, guided cues of cough-racked elders toward thyme broths and pine sap salves. One noon as Sam climbed the forge stair, he found Dickon leaning against a parapet, watching unsullied practice spear thrusts. Sweat darkened the younger man's shirt. He had taken to drilling alongside Grey Worm's captains, learning foreign footwork. He offered Sam a waterskin. Father's tempers eased, Dickon said. He still mutters, but his men respect how unsullied hold formation. Different but clean.
Sam sipped.
He trains them well. You train differently. Dickon's gaze softened. Archery lessons, reading drills for pages. Villagers love you.
Sam flushed.
Fear I coddle them. Maybe, but they fight harder knowing you'll bind their wounds. I envied you once for escaping father's shadow. Now I envy what you built here. Dickon straightened. When we march north, I ride your flank. If freezing horrors truly walk, I want my brother's calm. Sam clasped his forearm. The old rivalry thawed to something warmer than grudging respect. Something like family. News arrived in a dusty whirlwind ***. Storm's End opened gates to Daenerys' envoys, accepting grain wagons, pledging 200 bowmen in return. Lord Tarth offered galleys to patrol Blackwater Bay. Even House Fossaway of New Barrel, once sworn tight to Tyrell, sent word of shifting allegiance. Tyrion smirked as each raven landed. Apples falling farther from Cersei's tree, yet tidings of darker hue followed. White walkers sighted near Eastwatch, ravens lost in blizzards. Jon Snow, king in the north, so rumor named him now, rode to Winterfell with wildling allies, calling bannermen to stand against the Night King. Sam read the reports aloud to Daenerys beneath a hazy sunset. Her face tightened. I promised to fight that war beside him, she said. But if I fly north now, Cersei sweeps the south. Tyrion interjected. Victory in one theater requires stalemate in the other. Hold King's Landing in check while snow falls. Then we join Jon. Randall folded arms. Gold cloaks outnumber any host we can spare. Sam raised a tentative hand. What if we hold King's Landing not with swords, but with famine? I turned to him. He swallowed. Cersei relies on reach grain. If we control roads, embargo the capital, her army must march south to seize fields or starve. Either way, we draw her from her walls. Tyrion's eyebrows climbed. Starve my sister, poetic. Daenerys considered. I will not starve innocents. We need not deny all food, Sam said quickly. We open bakeries under our banners outside the city. Feed small folk freely if they pledge no arms to Lannisters. Soldiers would defect for bread rather than kill for crumbs. Randall's stern face cracked a grim smile. That could work. Wars are won on bellies. Daenerys laid a hand over Sam's scribbled map. Then Horn Hill becomes the granary beating heart. We hold here, keep roads clear, ferry loaves north to Winterfell and east to Storm's End. Bread becomes arrow, crust becomes shield. Her gaze locked on Sam's. You give me weapons I never wielded. Sam felt shy pride swell. I only read what the realm writes in its fields. Autumn shifted ***. Green leaves be. Ron's nights chilled. Horn Hill's harvest wagons rolled like clockwork. One to the Stormlands, one to riverside bakeries near Maidenpool under banners of the three-headed dragon entwined with huntsman horn, their sides painted with a loaf rising from flames. Along every stop, small folk cheered, filling sacks. Lannister officers attempted to seize wagons but found themselves facing phalanxes of Grey Worm's silent shields. Many joined the lines for bread instead. In King's Landing, whispers reached Tyrion's ears via spider webs of informants. Hungry kids chanting Queen Daenerys' name while tearing hunks of reach bread. Goldcloaks trading helms for crust. Cersei executed bakers, burned warehouses, but the rumor of free bread only grew. Within Horn Hill, ***, life built layers. Sam oversaw a scriptorium copying treatises on dragonglass forging. Leather-tough apprentices ground shards into arrowheads at benches, humming. Gilly started a school for shepherd children, teaching letters with little Sam toddling between benches. Randall occasionally peeked in, scowling as though to criticize, yet lingered, lips twitching at children reciting harvest prayers. One frosted dawn, Sam found his father in the Godswood glade, kneeling before the heart tree, something Sam had never seen. Randall rose slowly when Sam approached. They're not our gods, the elder muttered, brushing kneecaps. But old bows see old truths.
Sam swallowed.
What truth? That a lord can ride wrong for years and still turn. Randall's gaze met Sam's, unsparing yet not cruel. Your mother said I wielded armor like second skin and forgot skin of those I swore to shield. Sam laid a hand on rough bark. Armor keeps blades out, but also keeps touch out. Randall looked to distant towers where smoke curled from forges. When the snows break and we march north, we march together. Sam felt tears threaten. Together, he echoed. The first true frost *** silvered the valley when a raven arrived from Winterfell. Jon Snow requesting audience with Queen Daenerys at White Harbor, beneath banners of truce. He sailed south aboard the Wind's Grace, due in 2 weeks. Preparation flared anew. Daenerys would meet him not only with dragons but with proof of a realm stirring beyond fear. Sam suggested presenting crates of dragonglass weapons forged by Reach smiths and documented treatises on the forging process for northern smiths. Tyrion added barrels of fresh bread. "Break the ice with crust," he quipped. Gilly found Sam on the ramparts the night before departure. She pressed a bundle into his hands. A new cloak stitched from deep green wool lined with soft fawn fur. Embroidered along the hem, she had sewn tiny dragons coiled around hunting horns, thread glinting silver in moonlight. "To keep you warm," she said simply. Sam unfolded it, throat thick. "Ride with me," he blurted. "North. You faced worse cold beyond the wall than Winterfell's hearths." She smiled. "Our son rides on my hip and my heart. The realm we build belongs to him. I'll help build wherever you stand." They rode at dawn ***. Daenerys on a white mare, Tyrion in a cloak of black velvet trimmed crimson, Sam in Gilly's cloak, Randall and Dickon flanking, Grey Worm leading 300 unsullied, banners streaming. Regal soared overhead. The column stretched down the road like a living artery carrying blood and warmth to afflicted limbs of Westeros. Frost-rimmed fields blurred past. At maiden bridges, villagers lined roads waving loaves. At river ferries, boatmen saluted with oars held high. Each night Sam shared campfire with father and brother, mapping supply caches for the return. Randall told stories of his own youth, a scrawny second son fighting for respect before forging himself in steppe campaigns. Sam listened, seeing pieces fall into place like Maester's runes. Where hardness had come from fear of insufficiency, scorn had been armor for a brittle spirit. They talked until embers died. White Harbor *** loomed, towers frosted like cake with snow. Its gates opened to the sea road as Daenerys' host approached. Northmen in bearskin cloaks lined parapets, wary. When Regal descended, wind gusts sent snow whirling. But Jon Snow, broad-shouldered, black-clad, stood unflinching in the courtyard, gloved hand raised in greeting to the dragon. Sam dismounted before him, grin splitting face. "Jon!" Jon's eyes widened, then lit. They embraced, cloaks tangling. "Sam, 7 save me. Thought you buried in books somewhere warm." "Books led me here." Sam pulled back. "And bread." Introductions unfolded before the great lime-washed keep. Daenerys dismounted. Jon bowed, expression conflicted but courteous. Ghost, white as driven snow, padded at his side, sniffing Regal's sulfur scent with uneasy hackles. The dragon warbled curiosity. Council convened in the Merman's Hall, stone pillars carved like leaping silver-green merlings. Around a long table, Daenerys, Jon, Sam, Tyrion, Davos Seaworth, Lyanna Mormont, Randall Tarly, Grey Worm, snow-powdered cloaks. Hearths roared. Sam presented the dragonglass crates, explaining forging temperatures, quenching oils, shaping jigs. Northern smiths bent over diagrams, nodding. Jon's eyes shone. "With these, every man of the watch fights as one of 100. Daenerys spread maps marking bread lanes and refugee camps. "We fight long night not with flame alone, but with hearth." She looked to Jon. "If I anchor Southron conflicts, you hold the north. When spring stirs, we join to crush what fire and ice leave behind." Jon rested gloved palms on the table. The realm never knew peace where north and south stood apart. "Let winter bind us." He lifted his gaze to her. Something older than politics sparked between them, recognition of equal weight shouldered. Over 2 days they bargained details. Supply quotas, troop rotations, messaging to hesitant lords. Randall sparred with Lyanna Mormont in debate. The fierce girl yielded no ground, yet grinned at the old soldier's bluntness. Davos swapped sailor tales with Tyrion. Sam met Maester Wolkan of Winterfell, trading formulas for dragonglass adhesives. On the final evening, a silent snowfall hushed White Harbor. Sam found Daenerys on the courtyard wall, snowflakes melting in her hair. She studied Regal asleep by the outer moat, tail steaming. "The North sings a different song," she murmured. "Songs change," Sam replied, "but melody of hearth and harvest carries." She smiled faintly. "Jon told me you once saved his life with a dragonglass dagger. Now you save many more with grain."
Sam shrugged bashfully.
"I read my share of heroic tales. None praise the quartermaster, because heroes starve without him." She laid a hand on his shoulder. "When bards sing of this age, they will sing of gentle hearts that stood firm." Departure came swift ****. Daenerys' host split. Randall, Tyrion, most unsullied, returned south to guard bread routes. Grey Worm and a select shield of soldiers remained with Daenerys, who would winter in White Harbor's keep, forging bonds. Sam chose to stay, books to copy, dragonglass to refine, Jon's company to enjoy. Randall clasped his son's head before mounting. "Make me proud," he said, voice gruff with emotion he could not name. Sam smiled through misting eyes. "You already do." Winter deepened ****. Sam worked shoulder to shoulder with tired blacksmiths, shaping obsidian arrowheads by lamplight as wind rattled shutters. He trained White Harbor's healers in leech tending. He shared hearth tales with wildling children. Gilly taught them songs of the true north. Little Sam toddled across icy stones, squealing at Ghost's fluffy tail. Jon laughed more than Sam remembered from Castle Black. Letters trickled from Horn Hill, bread lines growing, Lannister garrisons shrinking. Randall wrote of forging alliances with House Hightower now, and of reading to scullions in evenings. Sam penned back treatises on ice-white anatomy, hoping his father never meets one but prepared if he does. Around White Harbor, snowdrifts climbed knee-high, but within walls, life pressed warmth into cold there too. Bakeries churned loaves, fisherfolk hauled nets iced with frost but brimming with silver cod. Smithies glowed. Dragons roared occasionally, sending nervous geese fluttering. Yet folk began leaving offerings of dried fish at Regal's resting spot, thanking him for skywatch. One night ***, horns blared along the river gate, 3 long notes of alarm. Sam raced from the library, cloak swirling. Jon and Daenerys met at the wall walk, breath pluming. Scouts returned shouting. A column of dead moved through the wolfswood outlying villages. Hundreds, maybe more. Plans crackled like lightning. Unsullied companies redeployed south of the wall, Northmen archers along parapets, mages, Melisandre among them, preparing fire wards. Sam distributed crates of dragonglass knives to trembling fisher lads. Daenerys mounted Regal. Jon readied Longclaw. Snow swirled thick. Lanterns guttered in wind that smelled of grave chill. Sam's pulse hammered, yet his hands shook not. He hefted a spear of dragonglass he'd forged, feeling the weight both alien and perfect. Gilly kissed him at the gate, eyes fierce. "You slew one, slay another if you must. But come back." He touched her cheek. "Back to Hearth. Hearth follows you," she whispered. She took position among the healers inside the gate, dagger at her belt. Shadows loomed beyond tree line, silhouettes of ice-blue eyes, tattered cloaks whispering like corpses sigh. Torches flared. Horns cried again. The first white broke cover, shambling into arrow light. A flaming shaft felled it. Then dozens poured forth, sprinting unnatural. Regal's roar split the sky. Green-gold dragonfire cascaded upon the forest edge, exploding trees, snow, flesh. Yet fire did not reach all. Gaps spilled dead toward the walls. Northmen met them with spears tipped dragonglass, shattering bone, eyes bleaching. Sam fought beside Jon at the South Barbican. Dragonglass spear sweeping wide arcs, chipping ribs, pinning a white to earth where it writhed until flame consumed it. Jon moved like winter wolf, Longclaw flashing blue in torch glare. Sam's lungs burned, arms numbed, yet he counted pulses. 1, 2, step, thrust. Each motion a verse in the silent song of standing firm. A white walker emerged, tall, crystalline armor shimmering. He strode forward, frost swirling. Jon pivoted, but 3 wights latched his cloak. Sam lunged, interposing his spear. The walker swung an ice sword. Sam parried awkwardly, haft cracking but holding. Cold seared his hands through gloves. Pull back, faint, images flickered. Randall's training, Brienne's footwork, Alair's counsel. Head, heart, leg. Sam jabbed low toward the walker's thigh. As the creature parried, Jon surged, Longclaw shattering the frosted helm. The walker burst into shards, wights collapsing lifeless. Breath ragged, Jon gripped Sam's shoulder. "Twice you saved me. Bread and blade," Sam gasped. The battle raged till first gray hint of dawn. Regal's flames carved a charred semicircle north of the river. Unsullied ranks held firm. When horns finally sounded victory, one long, low note, Sam collapsed to knees in snow stained black with ash of otherworldly flesh. His cloak smoldered at the hem. He felt every bruise, yet alive. Daenerys touched down, sliding from Regal's shoulder. Snow melted where dragons settled, steam rising. She strode towards Sam and Jon, eyes shining with mingled sorrow and triumph. "This is only first wave," she whispered, voice raw. "Then let this be the first time the realm stands shoulder to shoulder," Sam replied, levering himself upright. Days passed ***, cataloging fallen, tending wounded. Gilly worked by lamplight, applying poultices. Little Sam peered wide-eyed from a sling at her back, cooing amid the moans and prayers. Randall's next letter arrived by Swift Raven, bearing news of King's Landing bread riots and Lannister deserters. He wrote one line that Sam read aloud to Jon and Daenerys by the Sickward hearth. "Bread wins more battles than blades." Jon laughed, Daenerys smiled, and Sam felt warmth spread. Winter tightened ***, but could not strangle hope now grown root. Horn Hill's loaves fueled northern fires. Dragonglass tips flew from white-capped parapets. Southern lords once skeptical now sent more grain wagons north, each escorted by a mixed company of reachmen and unsullied. Sam, at night, sat in the keep's loft, quill scratching parchment. He titled the tome ***, A Harvest of Hearths, chronicling the bread alliance of the long night. He wrote of Gilly's stitches, of Randall's tempered pride, of Daenerys's horn of welcome, of Jon's steadfast sword. One snowy evening Jon entered the loft, brushing off for cloak. He stood looking over Sam's shoulder. Right the part where Sam Tarly aimed a spear at a walker's knee. Sam smiled. "Exaggerate later chapters." Jon sobered. "I'll need you at Winterfell come spring. Maesters can't reach from Old Town now. But you? I'm not Maester forged. Maester enough for me. And breadkeeper." Sam dipped quill, wrote. When ice threatened to swallow song, bread rose. Lamps flickered. Beyond icy windows, the realm labored, forging, plowing between snow flurries, shielding each other with crust and steel.